Hey guys, for those of you who have product-led growth or product adoption is massively important. You have a SaaS product where you actually have exposure to usage data. This video is for you because it illustrates how you can gain insights from usage trends. Who should you be tracking even out of all your user segments to really harness that data to drive and propel adoption for the remaining segments of your user base. And the writer of this blog is none other than the adorable Marley Wagner, super smart, super talented Senior Director of Marketing and Services at ESG. Great blog. So I'm going to share the link to the blog in the YouTube video description so you can read it fully. I'm just going to focus on a few areas so that you can benefit from it as well. The blog was promoted on Insighted's blog site, and it's called 5 Ways to Activate Your Super Users for Product-Based Intelligence. So again, this blog is really great for anybody that needs to amplify your tech touch strategy or has a product-led growth strategy for the company or for your product team as well. Basically what she's saying is, look, our goal is to make sure that customers find value in the product and that they adopt the features in a continuous way and that they have a great product experience. And one of the ways that you can do that is by identifying who your power users are. Then she goes into how you can identify and define super users. She goes through a great deal of explanation of how you can do that. You feel free to read in those. And then she says, basically, you can identify by looking at the power user curve. Essentially, I recommend just go read about that. That's not the intention of my video. My intention is like, once you define them and are able to highlight them in your usage collection, now you can leverage and harness their knowledge by both the customer success and the product team to work together to communicate and collaborate with the super users. So essentially the customer success team will collaborate and power those super users while the product team will benefit from the intelligence and the data to continuously improve the product. Before we continue, don't forget, subscribe to our YouTube channel and smash that notification button so that you don't miss out on any new videos. So first step is you need to highlight the right data. Here she's saying, look, you need a strong tech stack. I agree with that. And actually in the description to the YouTube video below, I'm going to include a link to our tech stack downloadable. You're more than welcome to check it out to see what other software solutions you might need, especially if you have a data-driven product-led approach. But there's definitely, if you have too many, if you have too little, you need to think about exactly which ones you would need. But once you have a lot of data, you need to figure out which metrics do you really need to track. That's it. So they need to look at behavior, usage patterns of the super users to determine the most important metrics to support your goals. So she basically says, look, if you know who the super users are and you can track what kind of things they're doing, it will be very helpful to determine which metrics you will need to track out of the plethora of different events that your usage application might be tracking. Next, she says, we can discover the best onboarding and adoption stumbling blocks. She goes on to say, super users are the superheroes of adoption and, of course, onboarding process. They come out of the other side. Not only were able to finish the onboarding, but they did it with such a success that they're becoming super users for you. And so if you could retrospect what they have done, essentially your team as well as the product team can better understand the best product adoption journey. And so one of the ways to gather that is a direct customer feedback by actually talking to them. And super users are ideal candidates for this activity because they are loyal users and like to be early adopters. So if you have any new features, they could probably also help with that. So basically her suggestion here is, look, if your onboarding success percentage is lower than what you'd like it to be, or adoption of certain features is lower than you'd like it to be, or lower than your average super user, go ahead and interview them to figure out what is it that they think helped them out, understand what were some of the stumbling blocks for them to actually accomplish that so you can remove it. What did they find was helpful? What did they find was a little bit difficult? And get that feedback back to the product team as well as the CSMs to remove those with either human touch or product-led roadmap to remove those blocks in the future. If you liked what you've heard so far, that's awesome. More coming in a second here, but in the meantime, I want you to click that like button so that YouTube knows that this is great content and you can start sharing it with others. Identifying the features your customers are using or not using. So if you're tracking the super users and where they're spending most of their time, the chances are that you'll have a better idea of what all of your customers are finding value from your product. And even better, you can figure out what your power users are avoiding altogether. I think that's super interesting because we always think about, ooh, let's see what they are using. But is there like a plethora of features that all the power users are not using? So if so, then you can actually zero in on what the product team needs to focus their attention on. They're also great at testing new ideas, obviously. So if you can identify who those super users are, you can actually leverage their success with your product to test out some new features, etc. So this is really like, call out the super users to invite them to become beta testers for new iterations and features. Most of them, because they're super users, they are loyal, they're active users. And so they'll usually be very receptive to start and try out new features. And then finally, they're getting great advocates. She's leveraging them to spread the love about your product by acknowledging your super users. Not only do they become willing to help you with testing beta products, etc., you can actually ask them proactively to submit reviews, to be a reference, and provide you testimonials so that you can grow your business. That's it. So what I actually recommend is to check the blog link below so you can read the entire blog. I kind of scanned through it, and hopefully this gives you some ideas on what you can focus on to improve usability of your product, accelerate adoption of new features, as well as learn what not to do or how to remove some stumbling blocks from your onboarding experience. And again, this is great if you have a plethora of small customers that are mostly product-led. So if you need to amplify your tech touch approach, this blog is a great resource to think about how can you leverage usage data and really zone in a specific segment called super users to get the right insights. All right, hopefully this video was helpful. Read the blog, give this video a like if you learned something new, and I'll see you at the next video.